All right, hello everybody. We're back with something else that's been broken on this car. The other day I was driving the car and went to start it up after it had been warm, and the clutch pedal went to the floor and did not disengage the clutch. So what that means is our clutch master cylinder has failed. I think I put a new one in about 6-7 years ago, so I'm not really too surprised, especially with a heavier clutch. So we have something new to put in that's a bit of an upgrade, and we also have to pull the old broken one out. So I reached out to Clutch Masters and got a new master cylinder kit. I've already opened it to ensure everything works, but look at how sweet this is. And then it has a remote reservoir, which I think will be kind of an interesting thing to figure out where this actually goes. They gave us some more clutch line, some banjo fittings, a mount bracket for this, and a cool wrench to actually tighten this up to the mounting plate. But the first thing we have to do is get this stupid thing out. First thing you have to do is get underneath this car, and if you look up, not really enough room for me and the camera, but if you look up right here, here's an up close of that bolt and cotter pin I was talking about. Again, you just have to take some pliers and pull this out, and then this slides out and disconnects that fork. So the next thing we have to do is get some of this crap out of the way. Now, if you're an OEM car, you won't have this pipe here. You'll have a top mount, so you may have to pop that top mount off to get there. There's plenty of videos out there on how to do that. But basically, I'm going to have to disconnect my blow-off valve and this charge pipe, or flip it out of the way, whichever, to be able to get to that clutch master cylinder. You know, it's the little things in builds, like putting AN fittings on your blow-off valve, that kind of add to the sweetness, I think. Okay, I got most of the stuff out of the way. So what we really need to focus on is this. This is our clutch master cylinder. So we're going to need to undo this line. This goes to our slave cylinder, which for an STI is this. Oh man, I can't see. This thing right here. I need to readjust my light here. This is our slave cylinder. This is our clutch fork. And then there's a line that goes into it on this side that we need to, let's see, there's our line right there. And that's what we need to get out. So we can either undo the whole line, which is what I'm going to do because I have this stainless steel line and it looks like it's maybe not holding up the best. Plus they gave us a new line. So I'm going to do it that way. And then there's two bolts that we need to take off to get that out. And then I think everything else I can kind of wiggle out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to undo this clutch line. It should be a 14 mil. You run into a little bit of clearance problems with your throttle body, but if you have these ratcheting box-in wrenches are a lifesaver, and I've gotten to where I do most of my work with them anyways. So we're just going to undo this banjo bolt, and it should have one crush washer on the top and then another one on the bottom. We'll keep that together just in case that's proprietary to this assembly. But something else to keep in mind is there is brake fluid in this line. So it's not something that you want to get all over your engine bay. Okay, I was finally able to get it with a crow's foot designed for pipe fittings. I'll show you that in a minute. I've never had to use one of these on one of these clutch lines before, so I'm a little surprised. But that's the ticket right there. If you have one of those, and it is a 10 mil, and it goes into a socket, nut socket driver. So if you have one of those, that's the key to breaking that thing loose. And then once you get it mostly loose, it should just pull out. There we go. That's this big chunky hardline mount that I guess at one point did mount somewhere. I think it mounted maybe to the top of that bracket. I cannot remember for the life of me. Or it mounted on the wall over there, and I had to undo it for whatever reason. So we're hopefully going to get rid of this line completely for the new stainless steel line we have. Otherwise, we'll have to get creative. So just out of curiosity, I wanted to see if this was going to reach, and it does appear like we've got plenty of space and wiggle room to make the line that they provided reach. So that's a positive. So pretty much that leaves us ready to take off our master cylinder, and it is a 12. You probably will need a deep well socket to clear the bolt that is there. And those aren't usually torqued down too bad, so it's not usually a big deal to get those out. There's only 2 bolts holding this in, or it's actually nuts over studs that are holding this in. And just don't drop them. That's basically my only advice here. Remember I said don't drop them? Yeah, that happened. Go ahead and get this other one out here. If I can finish it with my hand, I can actually hold on to that one. Okay. Okay. That is our OEM clutch master cylinder out. So like I said, here is our OEM, and here's our new one. You'll see they should be shaped about the same. The cool thing about the new one is there is no valve that when you release the clutch, it doesn't throttle the pressure release. The OEM one has a little bit of a valve in it that when you drop the clutch, it doesn't actually do it one-to-one as fast as you release it. So we have this. Now we just have to put this in. And before we do, we need to take the cotter pin out and this bolt, or whatever you want to call that. We're going to take that out because we'll have to put that in to the existing clutch when it's in the car. And then we will be good to figure out where to mount this reservoir. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to figure out how far the throw is on this versus how far the throw is on this. And try to get them in kind of a similar space, because this has an adjustable plate, so you can mount it further in or further out. And I think what I want to do is try to match it, and then if I need to take it apart and adjust it from there, I can. But I think right here, right about here, so I've still got threads on the end of that, and it still looks like my fork is about the same distance out from the firewall as what I was dealing with. So hopefully the clutch feel will feel about the same. There's a lot of fine adjustments on this that you probably just need to make sure are locked in before you start putting it in. Just had to say, don't drop the bolt. What do? You drop the bolt. Time to put this sucker in, and it should be fairly simple. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and tighten that plate with the provided wrench all the way up. And if I need to mess with that later, I can. So this is a simple process. This just slides into the hole, and then you thread your bracket on. Ideally, slides right on. Now I've done a stupid thing, which isn't a surprise. I've mounted it like this. If I want this to work, this needs to be at least at an upward angle, which means I probably need to figure out where I'm going to mount my reservoir. So with this reservoir, they give you plenty of hose to mount it somewhere. Problem is it's just got this little mounting plate. It's like, where do I put that? Part of me thinks I could mount it to this strut tower bar. Ideally, it would go there. There's a bunch of wiring harness in the way. So I've really got a problem with where to put this, where it's going to work for me. It has to be above the level that the little nipple is on the master cylinder. And to be honest, I kind of wish it wasn't done this way. Okay, so I've been rummaging around. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole right through here. I'm going to use this bolt nut setup. So we know that instead of this facing this way, we need it facing this way. So I need to loosen this slightly and have this probably at maybe a 10 to 15 degree angle instead of 90. And then we want this to be about, if this is flat, maybe about there. Tighten this back up. And so now when that's in there, we've got a little bit of an angle so we're not having to curve so much hose at a 90. And I think that will help quite a bit. I don't know how thick this metal is, so I'm starting with a little bit smaller drill bit. Oh, the drill bit is literally coming undone. That's great. Check that out. That's a new one for me. Okay. Not a fancy drill bit. That's all I needed. I hate it. I hate it. Should work. I like it. So next thing we got to do is run our hose, which this is my one little qualm with Clutch Masters. They give you all this nice stuff to play with, to use, however you want to say it, and they don't include hose clamps. What is up with that? Okay, got our hose marked about where we're going to cut it, which is about here. Like I said, the little things in life kind of miss me. Like, why wouldn't they include their hose clamps that they approved? But that's okay. We have a whole bunch of them at the house. Okay. Clamp that on. Okay, now we're going to attach our nuts. They're actually the same nuts that we pulled off. You just reuse the factory ones, the factory 12 mils. Okay. Now we're going to take our hose. Put it on. Get our hose clamp tightened down. We're not going to tighten this down too much because it is a barbed fitting. So we're just kind of making sure it doesn't get pulled off. So our final step is to take the clutch line they gave us and figure out how we're going to route it to our master cylinder. So here's our slave cylinder right here. And if we use this slanted piece, which sounds really cool to use, we kind of run into our throttle position plate sensor. I think this could work. However, we're going to have a charge pipe going here. And that kind of puts us at a weird twist. We've got our banjo bolt. There's a copper crush washer on that end. And there's another one that goes on the bottom. I kind of like to go ahead and put that on there. And then just watch it and make sure it doesn't yeet itself off into the ether somewhere. We have our other banjo bolt, our copper washer on it. Put that in. Oh no, I dropped it. I think we have extras though. I struggled to get the pin in this thing for quite some time. So here's the problem I was running into. There's only one way you can put this pin in. And the way I had it was sitting in there like this. They have it milled out to sit flush on the other side. So I wasn't able to get the pin in because I had it in the wrong side. And I just needed to flip it 180 degrees. So that's why you watch this channel. You can see all the stupid ways to mess it up before you do it. And save some time. Oh, wow. I'm so mad about that. If this works or not. Probably should have done that earlier. Well, the hood shuts. So that's one positive. So our last little thing we really have to do, order business-wise, is we have to bleed the clutch. Which you're going to need a friend for. Or a girlfriend. Or a child. But first it starts with filling our reservoir all the way up. We've got to go in, pump the clutch, open up the slave cylinder, and repeat until our clutch doesn't have any air in it. If you didn't know, the slave cylinder bleed valve is an 8 mil. I'm going to conclude this video right here. There's plenty of videos out there bleeding the clutch. I will have another video of kind of a product review. Once I get it done and driving again, I will let you know how it feels compared to the OEM one. If there's any difference, if it's worth it. I think it was like $220 for the setup. But an OEM master cylinder is about $130 anyways. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. Things I like. It's much cleaner and nicer looking. It's much more adjustable. Things I don't like. I really don't like this. I don't see a reason for it. It just kind of is one more point to try to figure out, and it just adds to the spaghetti monster that is a Subaru anyways. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. This has been quite a project. I think it's only taken me like 2 hours, hour and a half to get it all done. And that was with some hiccups. Like always, please like the video. That really helps, especially these smaller YouTube channels like mine. There's a lot of fun stuff coming up with this car, like a lot of stuff coming up. And you definitely want to be able to see that and subscribe for it. And y'all have a great one.